Just quickly before this episode starts and the interesting stuff happens, I just want to say thank you very much for 1,000 listeners on this podcast. I really didn't think it was going to get to this point when I first started. I just did it for a bit of fun, and now it's kind of this, and I'm very, very grateful. And I feel like I should be doing this a little bit more professional now. So thank you very much to everyone that has listened. And what better way to make this professional than with my own intro music? So let's go. Hello and welcome back to the Sleepless Podcast, where I interview people that are much more qualified than me in just about every area, in every aspect. And this, I don't think we've had a more true statement here, at least with a lot of the other ones that I've done. I've kind of been involved in this, but this is something that I am terrible at. We've got here the resume first, a silver medalist at the 2014 Commonwealth Games in the team gymnastics, competed in the 2008 Olympics, competed in the 2005, 2006 and 2014 World Championships, the first ever woman to reach stage 2 of the grand final of the Australian Ninja Warrior, the amazing Olivia Vivian.
Ew! Thanks for having me. That's quite a lead in there. Jeez.
Honestly, like when I say I'm not qualified, I am, and you can ask my girlfriend, the least flexible person in the entire world.
Yeah, look, I will admit, like gymnastics is, it's quite an intense sport. I think it's for everyone, especially at a fundamental stage, like beginners, it'd be perfect. Yeah. But yeah, when you get to the top, it's a tricky one. But ninja, honestly, like everyone's qualified. It's basically just a supersized playground. Let's get real.
I always watched it be like, I could do that. And then
I know the couch ninja, it's my favorite. Seriously. Like, just on the couch, be like, I could do that. And because we don't get to watch other ninjas go. So it's when the show comes out, it's just as exciting for us because we see our friends go on other nights and we're sitting there and they have different obstacles and I'm like, oh yeah, we could do that. So it's all, we all, as we're eating Tim Tams, but
that is quite good.
We all do it.
Yeah, I saw your Instagram and I've been following your Instagram for now quite a bit. That is honestly some of the stuff you do. Like, if you want to plug your Instagram so people can go and have a look at it.
Look, just my name, it's Olivia Vivian, but it's funny what it's turned into in a sense. But you know, like how we all just start Instagram because it's like, oh, cool. It's like a photo and video platform. We want to post stuff. And yeah, I don't know. Mine's just turned into just the craziest shit I can do. But I'm like, I might need to have like another one, you know, because there's times where I just want to post photos of the dog, you know, and I'm like, this doesn't suit my page. So
that's all mine is. Just dog photos, basically.
Who doesn't love the dogs? So yeah, I'm starting to think like I need another one.
No, but some of the videos are bloody just unbelievable.
They're
some
pretty
of the core strength and stuff like that. Like I just see it, I'm like, oh, like that is.
My favorite ones though, because I don't always film. I'm one of those people. Yeah. I'm useless. I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached to me. So my phone, most of the times I have no idea where it is. And I'll be training. I do something really cool. I should film. I'm just really lazy with the filming, but those rare occasions where I'm filming something and I stuff it up, like in a hectic manner and a good stack, as we call it, they're my favorite. Like the fails, if I get a good one, they're my faves to post.
That is so good. I can just imagine just the like obviously, and I always wondered that with like those trick shot sort of things as well, where they post like the good ones, but there must be just
thousands
all these different attempts.
Those trick ones are hectic, hey? Like, yeah, no. I think I'm like you. I think about the hours and hours and hours and missed turns that went into that.
Yes, absolutely. We'll go into your early life now and sort of just before you became who you are now. Anyway, you were born in Perth in West Australia, which is at the moment I'd imagine to be a better place. I'm in Melbourne and you're in Brisbane, I believe. What's the weather like there right now?
Brisbane's like gorgeous now. I was in Melbourne just last week actually, and we had a couple of really nice days, and Brisbane was like pouring rain nonstop. So I left Brisbane, went to, sunny Melbourne, then left Melbourne, and now it's beautiful here.
The weather followed you, because right now it is about 12 degrees and disgusting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I came back at a good time. Okay.
I know. But so Perth, Western Australia, obviously. What was sort of like, how like different is it compared to sort of this side? Now, like you're located sort of in Brisbane more and everything.
Yeah, now I've been on both sides. You get a good understanding of how WA almost is its own country in itself. I've been over there during COVID, and it's almost like COVID wasn't a thing over there. I mean, I never saw a single mask ever. So it's a beautiful state though. It'll always be home. But it is different. It's definitely far away, the most isolated city in the world, apparently.
Oh, really? I actually didn't know that. Oh, there you go. Exciting. When you were growing up, well, originally you were actually into ballet, I believe, and then you switched into gymnastics. Sort of, what was the go there? What was?
I feel like as a kid, though, as like a kid, you're into whatever your parents put you into,
course,
right? Like you don't really have a choice. I don't remember much about ballet except one year my dad and I went to the Royal Show, like the carnival, and he won like me a giant stuffed giraffe. But I'm sure like it just seemed giant to me because I was a little girl, but it was probably just regular size. But all I remember about ballet was taking that giraffe. So I did ballet, but I don't think I really did ballet. I think I just played with a stuffed toy. But yeah, Mum ended up gymnastics. I had a friend stay the night at my house, and she had gymnastics that night. So Mum couldn't leave me home alone and forced me against my will. I did not want to go, but I went, and then she had to force me out. I fell in love with gymnastics. Walked in, I saw the uneven bars, and I saw a girl just swinging around in circles, and I was like, oh my God, I have to do that, because I am a bit of a monkey even as a girl. I was that kid that if you turned your back, I was gone.
Off you go.
and you had to tilt your head. Like I was just always climbing stuff. So it was the perfect sport for me, I think.
Yeah, I feel like I was kind of the same, except I would then fall off those things and just injure myself.
Don't worry. I've fallen. I have got quite a few scars.
Oh, yeah.
My history at the kids' hospital, like the book is pretty thick. Pretty thick. Yeah.
Obviously you were very good at gymnastics sort of as you got into it, because you ended up going into the competitions, like I said, the world championships and everything. How is that process? Because I'm not obviously very well versed in the world of gymnastics. How's that sort of process to then work from originally just going to like a, where you do your stuff and then turning into competitions and all that sort of thing? How do you kind of get into that?
Yeah, I was, back then, like gymnastics is one of those sports. It's transitioned from being a woman's sport to a girl sport. And I think that's when Nadi Comaneci won an Olympic gold at 14 years old. And it just shifted the sport. So I started when I was 8, which is considered late for gymnastics. I know, right?
That's ridiculous.
But normally they're around 4 or 5 these days, which is just crazy to me.
Yeah.
But I was one of those kids, like I run like a deer. I'm not that athletically talented at everything, but once I fall in love with something, I'm just persevere, and it's all I want to do. And that's what gymnastics became, especially the uneven bars. So I remember I was at just my local club, like any kid would do in the suburbs, just go to their local gym. And we had a couple talent scouts come out from the elite facility. And they actually came out because one of the other gymnasts, her mum had requested them to come out to go check her out. And they stumbled across this crazy lunatic. And so they invited me to a trial, which again, I didn't want to do. I loved my coach at my club, but she convinced me it was probably the right thing to do. I should go give it a crack. I did, and I made it through the trial there. I do remember it was quite it's a next level. It was very disciplined. It was one of those gyms, you know, again, they sort of looked at my mum and looked at my dad. My dad was quite tall, and they initially said, look, I think she's going to be too tall to do gymnastics, but, you know, we'll take your money, essentially. Right? They didn't say that. I just, you know, now you're older, you're like,
you realize it. You figure it out.
You probably, that was their motive. But so it started, right? I just say how it is. Sorry.
No, that's just fair enough.
At least how I think it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone has an opinion, but it was sort of, I was always fighting the doubts in a sense. And then again, I was quite, I think I was like 9.5, and then they had rules like you had to do a backflip on the high beam at 10. And
oh, really?
It's just a different structure. Very disciplined, a lot more hours. The fees were really high. I mean, it's just very expensive babysitting, isn't it?
That's what all junior sport is at this point.
Right. But I just loved it. You know, if I wasn't in the gym, I was at home doing handstands against the wall and leaving dirty footprints on the wallpaper. So, again, I just, you know, I did my thing. I knuckled down. I was, you know, I tried to comply the best I could. I was still a brat, but I loved it. And, you know, I think, you know, it became a bit more real to me once I figured out what the Olympics were, because I was such an airhead. Like, I just did it because I wanted to do it. It took me like 3-4 years to notice that they had Olympic rings up in the gym. I had no idea. But it was watching the Sydney Olympics, and then one of our seniors, Alana Slater, was on the TV, and I was like, wow, that's so cool. So cool. Yeah. And that's when I was like, I want to do that, and I want to be there. And that's sort of what shifted my mind and my goal. And, you know, I was already in a facility that, you know, clearly produced results and could get me there. It just sort of came down to me. But I remember in gymnastics, the way it works is the year that you turn 16, you're a senior. So if you're turning 14, you can do the Commonwealth Games. Right. But 16 is World Champs and Olympic Games. So it was, it's an interesting sport that you're a senior at 16 years old.
Well, kind of 15 if it's the year turning 16 as well. So
I know it could be like December 31st, and you're like, I'm claiming it. But it was full on. It was very full on.
That is crazy. Well, you were only 16 when you first competed at the World Championships, which is awesome and like just unheard of for me. What is that sort of like that experience going to the World Championships, and how does it sort of differ to the Olympics, where it's more like there's like heaps of different sports, whereas with the World Championships for what you're doing, it's very specialized and very like
you know, the World Champs was my first international competition. And you know, I'll be honest, I was salty because it was held in Melbourne. You know, I was like, you know, I'd geared up for all these years, and I'm like, international comp, Melbourne. We go there every year for national championships. I'm like, I felt a bit ripped off. But on the plus side, you know, we had such a large Australian audience, and my family got to come and watch, and that was really special. It was, once I got past the saltiness, it was an incredible experience that you're only used to seeing the girls in your gym and the girls in your country, and being put on an international podium where you see the talent and what's out there in the rest of the world. It was really motivating, if anything else. I remember, I think I came 11th on the uneven bars. And I was like, that was just so cool. And it motivated me to want more and to push myself. And because it's hard when you only see the same girls again. And, you know, it's not like we had, you know, YouTube and Instagram and all these outlets where you could sort of watch things. Oh, there might have been. I just wasn't interested. I don't know, but it was a really special experience. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can just like being able to represent a country is just such a sort of special feeling, I feel, and like being able to just put on, the green and gold and have that sort of on your back is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah.
In that way as well, the Olympics then, which is the pinnacle of representing your country, basically. You ended up going in 2008, which was Beijing, I believe.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
it's fun fact, it's the first Olympics I actually remember watching, like actually knowing what it was, because the other one was in 2004 and I was 2 years old, so wouldn't remember. But the 2008 one I do remember, because I was in primary school and we used to do a whole thing about it. How amazing did it sort of like did it feel to after seeing the Olympic rings in the gym and then being able to actually go to the Olympics? That would have felt just incredible.
Yeah, I often wonder like how I would have coped if I didn't make it, because when you think about it, like I put everything into that, and not just me, my family. I think my brother didn't get to do a lot of paid sport because all the money that went into gymnastics and into me and my hours and going to the gym before and after school, 10 sessions a week. It's a lot of sacrifice, and it comes down to not the Olympics but the trial. And I ended up missing out on the world champ team the year before. So I made 2005, 2006, and then I got complacent and I got lazy. And, I thought because I was the best on the bars at the time, no one was going to take my spot. And I'd show up to every training session, but I was physically there and mentally not. And, ended up missing out on the team and having to go through the process of committing and, giving 100%, because I have a massive fear of failing. So for me, if I was training 50% and missed out on the team, I'd always have an excuse for myself. So, leading up to the trial it was brutal, because it's easy to say, I'm going to go to bed earlier, I'm going to eat right, I'm going to commit myself and train harder. It's like, look, it's so easy to say. Anyone can say it, but
exactly.
Changing your bad habits and getting into a new routine was really difficult. But I changed a lot. I don't think I could change everything. Like, me and chocolate will always be best friends. But I just remember the trial. It was because you do your national championships where all the girls come together, and then the top 24 do a second trial, and then the top 12 go to the AIS. And we did a week of training camp, and that out of those 12, 6 girls are going to get selected. And so, you're trying to train, but all week you're sort of looking at other girls and you're putting together like teams in your head, and no matter what team you put together, you're always on it. So it's you and 5 others. And then we had 2 competitions, one Saturday morning and one Sunday morning. And then they announced the team Sunday afternoon. And it was brutal. Like we were like just sitting in seats in a theatre room. And so it was a closed trial. So no friends, no family, just judges and coaches and officials. And they just start announcing the team one at a time. And even talking about it, I still feel like sick to the stomach. The first girl gets called, the second, the third, the fourth. I'm still in my seat, the 5th girl. And at this point, I'd already missed out on a team, and I know that feeling, and it can be a reality. And I was in my head, and I was like, 11 years. I'd trained 11 years for this moment. And then the 6th name got called up, and it was my name. And it just went from the sickest feeling to the sickest feeling. It was really cool. But I found out, when I realized later, the next day they announced the team alphabetically by the last names. How brutal, right? Brutal. But, I did not pick up on that. I was just sitting there feeling sick, going, pick me, pick me, pick me.
Oh, wow.
I know. So
that's actually quite funny.
Like, I think that was cool. Like, that was, in a way, sort of, the satisfying and the gratifying moment, rather than, going and competing at the Olympics, it was, that selection was brutal. But we spent the next 6 weeks training together as a team. And then, I mean, like, we were ready. We were so ready. Like, we wanted to go early and compete early. We'd all just sort of, found a sweet spot and worked our butts off. And going over to Beijing was just, it was, all of us were first-time Olympians. So we didn't have any experience on the team. So we're all doing it for the first time together. And you go over there and you go to this warehouse first and you get this big shopping trolley and they just like load you up with suitcases of green and gold. Like, it's so cool. And then, you know, you're walking around the village and, you know, even if you haven't met the person before, if they're in the same uniform as you, it's always like a hey and a head nod.
The old nod. Yeah, the old nod.
I know. It's like, it's really, really, it was special. But then you get to like go compete. And I just remember we were in the same competition as China. It was, you march out and it's just a sea of red.
Yeah.
And they had these big blow up clappers that they were just like banging together for 4 hours straight. Like, you couldn't hear anything. But I remember like marching over to the uneven bars, and in this sea of red, there was just my dad and my brother in fluoro green and yellow, like wigs and Aussie masks, like just leaning over, just like trying to get my attention. It was really cool. Like, lots of memories that I'll never forget from the experience. But I think ever since then, you just get this different sense of pride for your country.
Yep.
You know, like I'll still hear the anthem today and just cry. Like, it's something special. You know, I think it's special to represent your country regardless, on any stage, anywhere, any sport. But doing it at Olympic Games was, that
is just the pinnacle. That is just the absolute pinnacle. I had in my first episode of this podcast, I had the Paralympian Don Elgin. So he came in and he was talking about it in the Olympics now. It's just awesome. He had a lot of stories also about the Olympic Village, which is just notorious, as we know.
Yeah.
Have you got any stories of the Olympic Village? Like, what is that like?
Yeah, look, I can't. Not from Beijing, because, you know, I was 19 and, you know, our coaches were quite strict and we weren't really allowed to do much or go anywhere or, you know, I don't know. We were just so focused. But Commonwealth Games, I think I was like 23 at this point. Yeah, let's go. Maybe I was older. 19. Would have been older. I think. I can't remember. Gosh. The Commonwealth Games, I think we're all older. Most of us are over 18. You know, it doesn't have every country in the world, but it's a little bit more relaxed. We're in Scotland. It's like Beijing was cool and they spent a lot of money, but you don't speak the language. There was just guards with guns. I think the country and the people really make the games. And Scotland, they had a bar in the village. Like, they were just, it was an amazing city. They did such a wonderful job. The volunteers were insane. They were just, it was so cool. But I'm a bar specialist. Like, I really am a professional monkey. But for the team, I had to do vault. Remember that thing where I don't run, like I run like a deer. So I competed all 4 events for the team competition, and did a vault that any 12-year-old gymnast could do. It was pretty basic. But I qualified for the all-round finals as the top Australian, and was like, oh my God, I've never been here before, because I never do all 4 events. And the coach was like, just have fun. Like, this is a bonus round for you. You're not normally here, so just go for it. And at this point, Tinder was out. Tinder was pretty fresh, pretty new. And you're like, we're in the village and you got time to kill. So I remember I was on Tinder. And you set the radius to like 1-2 kilometers, so you're only
getting the village.
You're only getting the village, really. And I remember on the day of my finals, I had a breakfast date. I think it was a rugby player. I had a lunch date, and I think it was a South African. Yeah, right. I think it was badminton. I think. Wow. And then I had a coffee date with a Canadian wrestler, and then got on the bus and went and competed my competition. Look, this was just eating, okay? This was not like what Tinder's used for now, okay? All right, don't get the wrong idea, but it was just like the most relaxed day. It was so fun. I hopped on the bus, like I was in good spirits. I just had a great time, and I had the best competition I think I've ever had. And I finished 5th in the all-round, and I was like, with a vault that a 12-year-old could do. So it was just, yeah, it was that's my village story, I guess.
That's quite good. I never even thought about that, how like when you're in Scotland you could just set that radius to that little and just really just look for the prime sort of sporting people.
It is. It's always a good time, I think. Yeah, just having a bit, like being a bit older and having a little bit more freedom, and the coaches just sort of trusting you. It just makes for a better experience overall.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
After the Olympics, you ended up going over to the USA to study and live over there. You represented Oregon State in gymnastics at the NCAA championships. Like, how different are those championships compared to like the championships that you do in Australia? Because obviously in America, the college sport is enormous. Like, they are just obsessed with it. So how different was that sort of competing at those sort of championships compared to competing in Australia at the championships here?
Yeah, look, it's black and white. It was so different on all aspects. I think here in Australia, as much as I would love us to have the goal to win the Olympics, no gymnast has ever won an Olympic medal in any category. So I feel like the attitude here in Australia for gymnastics is just to make the Olympics. That's the goal. It was my goal. I never thought it was possible to go higher. I never even had the dream of winning the Olympics. But in America, they set the goal at the very top. It's gold or nothing. Like,
exactly, yeah.
So it was. I think my first year there was quite a big transition year. Going from being such an individual athlete to then learning how to be a team and a team player, and it was difficult. I was very selfish, and I feel like I was just a little bit physically and mentally broken from doing an Olympic campaign, and had a lot of walls up, and then trying to get used to a whole new country and team and way of doing things. But yeah, after about a year, I wanted to do it for the team. I wanted to make my routine better, and you just get stuck in a different mindset of like training to be the best. And we were doing it as a team and as a school, and it had been like 16 years, I think, since we'd won Pac-10 championships. And we did have some like really good coaching come in, and I'll forever be grateful to Tanya and Michael Chaplin, and then my bars coach John Carney. Like, they just helped rebuild me, not just as an athlete but as a person, and change my mindset a lot. So yeah, but like going over there, it's crazy amazing. And their love for sport over there is next level. And I think here in Australia we see a little bit of the tall poppy syndrome. If someone's doing something really great, we like to pick it apart or tear it down. But I noticed there, someone does something amazing, they go, wow, that was so cool, well done, how did you do it? They want to learn from it and be better and grow. So yeah, it was really, it was cool. But Yeah, I wish we had more of that here. I think sometimes here we go, those cocky Americans. I feel like there's a difference between cocky and confident.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a life-changing experience. I'm so glad I did it.
That's the one thing I love about America. I always wanted to go to America to like go to a college there and just be involved in like just all their sports and stuff. Like I've seen like games in Texas. Texas take their football insanely seriously.
Yes.
And like their high school stadiums are like fit like 80,000 people. Like
I know. And they pack
so cool.
out.
The coolest things ever. Yeah.
I had
the coolest things ever. That was what I love about it.
I got like when my first year there, and everyone goes to the football games. I'm like, what is this? Like they stop every 5 seconds, have a break. This is ridiculous. This is not real sport. But what I love was the crowd, the atmosphere, the way they get into it, and they do this thing. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. Is tailgating.
Yeah.
Massive. So like cool. For those that don't know who it is or what it is, like you have these massive big stadiums, and then for the year you can almost rent a parking space around the stadium, and everyone brings their big massive oversized American trucks, and they bring barbecues and drinks and food, and like hours before the game, like the morning of, they'll be out there just partying before the game. And like then they do big parades, the cheerleaders come out, the football team march into the stadium. Like it's a full event. Like the day is full day. But
awesome.
Oregon State's a college town, so it was kind of like one of those things that if our football team won, then the whole town went crazy, and like there was really sick parties, and the clubs were pumping. But if they lost, it was like, ew, it went the other way.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah, we had a good team though.
Yeah. In your senior year, you were NCAA regional co-champion, so you ended up getting that. Was that good to sort of finish your career in a high and then be able to sort of come back and keep going? You ended up going to the Commonwealth Games after this. So was it good to sort of finish as like a champion at Oregon State?
Yeah, look, it was. I remember my senior year sort of bittersweet, like athletically and academically. I was probably at my peak, and getting awards and accolades and stuff like that. But it was also the year that I learned that my father was terminally ill with cancer. So I swapped like all my last semester to online subjects and came back to Australia, which is what brought me back. Yep. But America, and Oregon State just helped me fall in love with gymnastics all over again, like made me feel like that little girl again that was just so passionate about this sport. And I just knew I wasn't done. So I had to beg to do a national championships back in Australia. And I'm the kind of person, I'm pretty relentless when I want something and I truly want it. So I just kept annoying them and begging until they said okay, and ended up winning my 7th title on uneven bars and getting invited back onto the Australian team, which is pretty cool. But just it wasn't the same down here. So it's not the same atmosphere or that mentality and that team. I missed the team aspect as well. So it was cool. I ended the career with some pretty cool achievements, and I think I could actually still go into the gym now and do a few things. So
I have to make a comeback at some point.
Oh, look, if they started paying gymnasts by the hour, I'd be there. I'd be it, but they don't.
So obviously post gymnastics and everything, and post the Commonwealth Games, you retired in 2016, and then you joined the Cirque du Soleil.
Yes.
How long were you like doing that for, and how did that sort of come about?
They'd asked me a few times actually. Just wasn't right timing. First time I came, straight back to Australia, and the second time I just lost my father, and the third time I just set up a cafe. They reached out again, and I went over to Montreal, and it's amazing. It's a whole different world. Is a Cirque du Soleil, and it's like an umbrella that accepts everyone. You could be the weirdest person from the corner of the globe that eats hairballs for lunch, and you would be welcomed with open arms. I know, right? So weird.
That's so good.
But it was super fun, and we were learning a new structure, a new show, a new sort of apparatus that had never been done before, and that was fun. It was really fun, and but I definitely I missed home, and it's quite a commitment with Cirque du Soleil. You're signing 18-month contracts, and you're traveling around, and I just stayed with them with a short time before coming back, and I loved what I was doing here in Australia. And it's I think it's a bit different once you lose a parent or you lose a family member. It becomes real, and for me, my mum she's great. She's amazing. I think 18-month contract traveling around the world, it wasn't for me, not at that time.
No. You touched on owning a cafe as well, which is called the Leaky Tap in Western Australia, which is named after your dad, I believe.
Yeah.
As he was a plumber,
Yeah, that was amazing. Like, I think what's really hard in gymnastics is, well, any sport, any Olympic sport, or anything that you train so hard for or devote all your time and energy towards this goal, and then you make the goal, or sometimes you don't make the goal and then you go down a different route. And we call it sort of like the post-athletic depression, where you just go from having 34 hours a week that you normally would be training to nothing. And you're not doing anything, you don't know what to do, and it's a slippery slopeness. I really do hope that there's more support around that. But for me, that was the cafe. I just jumped straight into this massive project that took up a lot more than 34 hours a week, and my time and my passion and my energy. I got to devote it to, a beautiful memory, because Dad was a plumber, as was Grandpa and great grandpa. And, my brother just chose real estate and didn't want to get his hands dirty. So.
Stop the plumber.
Yeah, so I sort of, continued it in my own fashion, and it was incredible. I actually sold it a couple of years ago. Good timing with COVID coming on.
I know, absolutely.
Yeah, but I do miss aspects of it for sure.
Yeah. In that time and in the past couple of years, you've now made a new name for yourself as a ninja warrior. which is just incredible, like some of the stuff. And like I said before, I'm a great couch ninja, where I say it, I'm like, I could do that. And then I definitely couldn't.
Honestly, it's like, who would ever think, like, now I get to say I'm a ninja, like, how cool is that? But I remember I was working in the cafe. It was actually 2014, after the world champs, that I gave up gymnastics. And I think at that point I was just so fizzled out. I was so burnt, just again, like physically and emotionally. It was different culture to what college was, and I just wanted nothing to do with exercise. Like, I mean, you couldn't even bribe me to go to a yoga class, and I love bribes. So for years I just didn't do anything. And I remember I was working in the cafe, and I got this phone call. And it was this lady, and she was like, "Hey, we're doing a TV show over in Sydney. We'd love to fly you over. We'll put you up in a hotel, and you just do some obstacles and stuff." And I was like, "Free trip to Sydney." Had no idea what I was doing. Like, I was in it for a good time, and that's it. And what I thought I was signing up for was Wipeout.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, of course. Like the big joke.
I always wanted to go on Wipeout. That was what I loved.
I was like, cool, all right. I was super excited about it. You don't need to train for this, because they purposely put you in the water. And I remember showing up, and you do a full day of filming and interviews and stuff like that, and you only get shown the course an hour before you start. Right. I remember they're taking us out, and I can see this. I finally see this thing, and I'm like, the scope of it, and I was like, oh, this is a supersized playground. Like, this was insane. I was amazed and confused, and like looking at it, I'm like, what is that? How do you do that? And I was like, I wish I'd done some training. And yeah, I don't know. I had a really good time with it. And I look back on the run now, you can see it on YouTube. I don't know how I got to the warp wall. Honestly, there is no technique. It's like all luck. I'm just like this Bambi on the course. And yeah, I fail the wall 3 times and I don't make it through to semifinals, but it lit a fire. Like I wanted to come back. Yeah. I was like, why am I not through to the next round? Like I couldn't accept it. And so I went back to Perth and I looked up the Ninja Academy, which is in Osborne Park. And I was like,
sweet.
There's a Ninja Academy. Like, who has a Ninja Academy? Like, how is this even a thing? And where has this been all my life? And I just started training there. Like, I mean, yeah, it went from 1 day a week to twice to 3 times. Like I'd work in the cafe all day and then go to the Ninja gym. It was so much fun. I felt reconnected to that 8-year-old girl who stepped into a gym for the first time. And yeah, there's a really good ninja community and it's unlike any other sport. Like,
oh, not even close. Yeah.
We'll literally be on the sideline of a competition and you're cheering on your competitor. In what world does that exist? Like it's so supportive. You can't have an ego because everyone falls at some point on something. You're going down. So yeah, it's just season 2. I went back on the show, but my goal was to like make a warped wall. And of course, I went back and I got up the wall and turned around and did this backflip, and producers lost their shit. Because you've got to understand it is TV as well.
Exactly. So they love it. Yeah.
It's it's not the national championships of ninja, and you have to everyone's like, oh, if I'm actually a really good ninja, why am I not on the show? Because thousands and thousands of people apply. And I'm like, you've got to have physical ability, to some degree, but it's more about your story.
Yeah, you've got to have some showmanship as well.
Yeah, what are you going to bring that's different? So that was me with the wall. I was like, everyone does it the same way. We're just going to do something different. And it sort of became a signature move. And I also made it into the grand final that year, and I was just stoked to be there. Like I was stoked. Exactly. I got up the wall, I conquered this obstacle, and that's when I looked at myself and I was like, hang on, because the Aussie way is I'll give it a crack. That's our mentality. I was like, hang on, like why don't I channel that that American mindset? Why don't I try and win the show? Like, why am I trying to just beat a warped wall? Exactly. And I think that's when my, mentality changed. And with that, my training changed and my focus. And I just got better and better and better with the sport. So, it's totally changed my life. I've met my partner in the gym as much as I did want to. Like, I did not want to like date someone from the gym, because it could go bad, and then
you can't go to the gym anymore, and then
it could swap. But it happened naturally, and we started off as friends, and it just developed. Like the whole sport has completely flipped my life upside down. Totally.
Like I said in the opening, you became the first ever woman to get to stage 2 of the grand final worldwide too, not just Australian, because obviously Ninja Warrior started as American, I believe, anyway. And then it got brought over here and all the other countries. So you're the first woman worldwide to do it, which is pretty cool to have next to your name as well. Ninja started in, I had to learn all this as well. I didn't really of course,
at the beginning. I was like, okay, I just wanted to play. But it started in Japan. It's called Sasuke. And America's the first country to franchise it in the way that they do.
As they always do, yeah.
Make it showy. So, like, they really did step it up to a next level, because, Japan they still do it. Japan do it twice a year, and it's just some scaff over some pools dug in the mud, and it's tradition, cool. But it's cool. So, like, there's definitely some American women, though, like, that have just, Casey was the first up the warp wall, like, and that's just, it's a milestone. And
yeah, exactly.
And Jessie, you know, did grand final, and you know, now you've got Flexa Breck over there, and you've just got all these women are just setting, you know, new milestones for the sport, because women do compete against the men. There is no like, they're not changing the obstacle for the gender. And you know, which there's aspects I love and aspects I wish were different, but it's cool that I could do that here in Australia, you know, like just set new standards for the girls. And it changed like my motivation over the years and my experience with the show. Like year one, I just wanted a free trip to Sydney, and year two, I wanted to beat a warp wall, and then, you know, then I wanted to win the show. And now through that, I've sort of, it's not about the money anymore. It's not about the prize at the top of the warp wall, the Mount Midoriyama. It's about motivating and inspiring other girls for me. That's sort of, it's given me a different purpose. So
that is very cool.
Yeah,
it's just, it's such a cool show, and like being able to see that sort of stuff. And I had a teacher at school that actually applied for it, and his video thing, his audition videos on YouTube.
Oh, nice. Did he get on?
No, he didn't, unfortunately. But it's great stuff though.
Keep trying.
Exactly. Okay. Keep sending him that way.
It is commitment. And you're like, you know, we don't get paid to do it. I think that's an illusion. Everyone thinks, oh, you'll get paid to do the show. No, it's a competition, and you, as hard as it is to win that prize money at the end, like, we do it because we're crazy and we love it. Yeah, it's a great community.
It is one of the only shows where at the end there might not be a winner, sort of thing. Like it's one of those ones where it's literally like you have to just be like, it just has to happen, like otherwise no one will win it, sort of thing. Yeah,
I think, like, you know, it took America, I think 7 years for them to get someone up the rope. But they have a different audience over there. Like they can appreciate a challenge and how hard, and if no one gets there, they're like, we will get it, you know, like they have that confidence within themselves that they'll beat it one day. Whereas Australia, I think we figured out pretty quickly, you know, our audience don't like not having a winner. You know, they're like, what's the point? What is the point? So I think, you know, year 3, they introduced furthest fastest gets 100 grand. And it changed the mentality within the ninjas, you know, suddenly, okay, we might not far, we might not get up the mountain, but if you're the furthest, the fastest in the whole competition, that's life-changing money right there. So I think that was good. I think it was good for the Australian audience, and it's good for us. Yeah.
That just shows that sort of difference between the American and the Australian one, obviously, which is
we're too impatient and we don't understand.
Oh well. This year you're also going to be put on the Celebrity Apprentice. Now what's happened there? Like, what's sort of going on there?
I don't know. It was, you know, a moment where we're in lockdown, like COVID's a thing, and I got this email and they're like, hey, do you want to do Celebrity Apprentice? And it's kind of like, moment where you're like, well, I'm not doing anything else. It's sort of like, initially I was like, first of all, I got the email and I was like, my first thing, I was like, don't you need celebrities? Like, I'm just, you know, I'm just a ninja. Come on. And I was like, no. And then I watched the show. So I watched some UK version. And I was like, oh, this is no.
The US version with Donald Trump as well.
But I was like, this is like, oh, no, like, no. And I said it out loud. I was like, no, that's way too far outside my comfort zone. And as soon as I said it, I was like, I have to do this. This is outside my comfort zone. I really do encourage people to step outside theirs, because it's the only way that you grow and you learn. And it's like, God damn it. Signed this agreement and like tried to study all I could. And it was a different experience, different to ninja.
Of course,
a lot different. Very stressful, very difficult. It's full on, but I met the most amazing people. All those contenders, they're amazing in their own rights, and they're so different. And we're all sort of thrown in this same really uncomfortable environment together. So you feel like you're bonded by this really interesting experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be exciting to see you on that as well. Not looking forward to it.
We'll see. We'll see how it comes across on TV. It'll be interesting. You're like, we're mic'd up like 16 hours a day. It's, who knows what I've said. I don't even remember.
That's fine. You'll find out with the rest of us then.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on today. It has been very, very interesting. Obviously, before this, I knew about next to nothing to gymnastics and all that sort of stuff. But to have you on and sort of hear your story and, you know, just being able to have an Olympian and like, that's just awesome. So thank you very much for coming on. This has been really, really cool.
No, of course. Honestly, I love doing this sort of thing. It's sort of, you know, sharing stories is how other people learn. And, you know, I probably should have shared more of the down stories, you know, the lessons and stuff like that. That stuff sort of really helps people. But yeah, thank you so much for having me.
That's all right. It was very, very exciting. And I can't wait to have a chat with you and see how you come on the next Celebrity Apprentice.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, watch that. I think I'm just nervous. I'm just nervous for it to come out.
That's fine.
Just different to Ninja. But
yes, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Thank you very much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Of course.